So your books, An Excellent Leader and A More Excellent Leader. So I have to ask the question, what are some of the, what are some of the, is it characteristics or personality traits or things that they do? What makes an excellent leader?
Well, this is exactly it. This whole idea of that you need to be born a leader, in other words, have certain personality traits and things like that. I don't believe that's entirely true. Yes, of course, it's easier if you, for example, are a slightly more open person and you're slightly more friendly and things like that. But that doesn't mean that you cannot learn things. And my point of departure in all of these books as well is start observing what you can already do. Start observing what works and what doesn't work. And it's a very simple but not easy thing to do. Is that what works? Do more of it. And that
Yes.
what doesn't work, do less of it. So to me, that's already a very basic thing. I believe everybody already has a certain amount of empathy in them. So they can do this already. It's just they're not aware of it. So my whole idea behind this observational listening is how do we make people more aware of the capacities they have and just put these capacities in, um, yeah, just more consciously, more goal-oriented, more consistently. And that's the way we can find an easier way to converse with people. That to me is the ideal.
Yeah, it's interesting because we as humans, we have all sorts of relationships outside of work, right? Where we're
Sure.
probably, if you're married, you've had to, probably had to date, you probably had to be empathetic at some point in your life, right? So
Sure.
and is it that we leave our if we leave that at the doorstep to work and we think that we don't have to bring that to work? But I mean, I think people have the capacity for it
Exactly.
outside of work. You're saying we need to bring that into work.
Exactly. And this touches on this myth that we're all brought up with, at work, no emotions, please. Yeah, we're completely rational and things like that. And I think cook. I mean, how are you going to turn up at work without emotions? And to me, that's just a non. It's just not possible.
Hmm. Yeah, I think, have you seen, I've been in the workforce for a long time, 30 plus years. And I think maybe when I first started my career, you probably could be emotionless at work and just play by the books. But
Hmm.
I think today you can't. I think the situation has changed, and I think employees want to see real people. They want to work for
Yeah.
people that
Yeah.
are authentic and that have real emotions and they have real relationships versus this sort of part pulling the party line and saying, "Well, that's the way we do it here, and you need to follow the rules." Do you see that? Like, is it
I
changing
think so.
over
Yes.
time? Yeah.
Yes, I think so, and I think part of the answer to that is innovation.
Hmm.
If you're just doing very routine work where you don't have to think very hard, you don't have to be innovative, you don't have to collaborate. I mean, if I'm just turning in the same screw every day in some other assembly line, where's emotions come into play? And I think that a lot of the work that was very mundane has been automated. So the work that is left is collaborative. So we have to collaborate with one another. This immediately brings this whole subject of emotion. How do you collaborate with somebody without any emotion whatsoever? I mean, I find the idea of no emotions completely ridiculous because you wouldn't come out of your bed in the morning. You wouldn't turn up for work.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's who we are. It's our, it's who we are as
Exactly.
our authentic self. And I think we don't. I think our employees they don't want a fake boss. They don't want someone that's just sort of, no emotions, bad news, good news, and no emotion. I think
No,
that's not exactly what they want. They want someone who's genuine, someone that's approachable, they
sure,
can understand and
sure,
relate to. Yeah, so that's
sure.
interesting. And I think it goes to again, it goes back to being able, if you are that way, more authentic, then you're going to have those more authentic conversations as well, versus not just closing off and keeping everything.